a space for us to be able to distribute this properly in a commercial space. We're just looking for temporary space. And then I found on Kijiji, there's a small space on 97th Street that somebody is trying to sell. It's an Asian store trying to sell their assets. And that's how we started the journey. And we bought over the assets and we were able to start bulk buy wholesale from that store in 2019. And we grew to a second location in 2021. And we've been growing gradually since then. We started from just me, my husband. My 11-year-old son was my cashier. Our grandparents from Africa were our store clerk and store assistants. And we just started that way, just leap of faith for us to just start something. And today we currently have at least about 8 full-time staff working for us. So we've grown in leaps and bounds in the last 2.5 years. And so that's just me. That's one part of me. Let me stop there.
That is an amazing story. I just am totally amazed and inspired by your story. That is such a beautiful story of success. Thank you so much for giving it. Is it Angelique?
No, Kemi, Kemi.
Kemi, sorry, Kemi. Yeah. Thank you so much. That story is super amazing. I mean, I just feel that every person can look at you and have so much to learn from you. Thank you so much for that. It was a beautiful story. We will talk more as we go forward about, what barriers you had, how did you overcome them. So now I'll move back to Mireille. So I just wanted to hear your story, Mireille, about, what is that point at which you decided to start this business, and how did you get into it, and what were your difficulties, and how did you get through
it? For me, the idea, actually, it wasn't really the idea of the business. For me, it was part of my healing process, right? My organization came about after a tragedy. And after the tragedy I lived, all I wanted was, how can I honor the memory of my late daughter? How can I do that? And to be honest with you, never saw myself in this field, a non-profit, right? I could donate, I was donating, but I never saw myself running an organization like that. So the idea came after the tragedy happened, and I was thinking, okay, how can I honor the memory of my daughter, and how can I honor who she was? Because that's really what it is. It is.
So can you go a little bit more into that? Like, what exactly happened?
Oh yeah, no problem. Even though it's a difficult thing to, but anyway, we were a young family with 3 kids, and every year when in summer vacation we will decide to go on a summer vacation with the family, right? And that year, 2019, we decided to go to the US. And it wasn't the first time, but we wanted to go there. And we drove there, and on our way back, we got into a freak accident, and we lost her on the spot. So, yeah, so we, when we buried her, when we did all of that, now we were facing the reality of our new situation, and she wasn't there. And being my firstborn, you can imagine how hard it was for me to move on. That's all I can say, to stand on my own after that. So
I actually feel that for a mother, it's impossible to move on from her own child.
It is impossible to move on. So she was smart, beautiful, bright. She was loving, she was caring, she was nurturing. In fact, before her passing, I was sick for some time, and I always thought that I would be transitioning before her. So I was preparing her to take over when mom won't be there. And and as a mom, it's difficult for us mom to envision our kids. She was only 12, and to envision our kids being great, at such a young age. But I was. For me, there were no doubts that she will be amazing, she will be successful, she will be a real good second mother for the others, and so on and so forth. So for me, I always thank God that, oh my God, my work is almost done. My work is almost done. So when that happened, my world shattered completely. So I don't know. It just came upon me to do something for others. And this is me thinking about my daughter. She may not be here physically, but I will always be her mom. And if, as a mom, I was supposed to buy her new clothes for the beginning of the school year, then I would still do that in her honor, but to do that for somebody else. If I was to celebrate her birthday, I would still do that. But I would do that to somebody else in her honor. So that's me thinking. That's how I view it. That's how I want to think about it. But it took me a lot of, and it is still taking me a lot of therapy to be able to do that. So every day is not, it's not like this. Every day is not me being this strong and be able to talk like that. So the organization came about after that. And when a few months after the tragedy, I decided to go hide in Africa because I couldn't find and be here. In fact, I didn't come back to Fort McMurray because I could not be in town without her. So I stayed 2 years in Edmonton, hiding. That's how I call it. And when I traveled to Africa, and I thought, what am I gonna do with everything she had? Like, she had so many stuff. What am I gonna do with that? So I decided to bring that to Africa. And just when I started visiting orphanages and places like that, I had the idea of doing something in her name every year. That's how we started. So I came back here and I legalized the organization, and that's how we went about.
Okay.
So what difficulties are we? Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's such a difficult story. I'm so grateful to you for sharing that with us. And, it's one of the most difficult things for a mother to bury her own child, and one that you looked up to so much. I can understand totally how you feel. Well, I probably cannot understand how you feel because I'm a mother too, and it's impossible to stand in your shoes for anybody else. But it's amazing that you came out of that with such a beautiful gift for the community, and you actually, had the courage to, move on with her memory that you have. I mean, you're never going to lose that, so you can keep it positive and, help other people in the community. So I'm really glad that you actually took that step. It's just an amazing, courageous decision, and also part of your healing and a part of the mourning. So thank you so much. Please go ahead with how did you face the barriers that you came across, and what were they, and how did you deal with that?
Thank you. The barriers, first of all, was I never even saw myself in such a predicament, right? In such even business wise, never thought I would be doing that. Always loved being a teacher, and enjoy my time teaching young children. So first of all, it was a question of knowledge. How do I get the knowledge to start such a business or such an organization? Where do I go? Who do I meet? Right? How do I even uh, 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 prepare myself to talk about my story all the time, because it's not an easy thing to do. And who can mentor me in this area? Who can help me? Who can I talk to? So those were the difficulties that I faced at the beginning. I was fortunate enough that, again, because it was part of my healing process, that I had to force myself to do those things, force myself to reach out, to communicate, to meet people, right? Really force myself. That's the word. And then the other difficulties that we are facing are, where do we get help? Who can support us? Being a nonprofit, I started with my own fund. As I said, as a mom, I want to continue to give to my daughter, so I will take it from my personal revenue to do things that I wanted to do. But at one point, it become more than I can, really handle, right? And where do I get the fund? Who do I talk to? How do I structure my organization so that it fits an organization who can, maybe apply for grants, who can ask for donations? How do I do that, right? So, those were the difficulties. And now that we are even getting a little bigger, because we are launching our first community program, now I have to, again, get out of my own shyness, my own hurt and all of that, to reach out again, to branch out, to talk to people, to talk about my story, to talk about who she was, and also to do things in my for me, to do things that will honor my daughter, who will really fit who she was. Because it's not my business. I'm not selling much, I'm not selling things. So I want that to fit who she was. So those were the difficulties. Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing your story, which is so deep and quite painful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And let me talk to Kemi. Kemi, I find your story extremely, extremely inspiring. So I just wanted you to go into some details about, every woman who finds that, vegetables are expensive, doesn't go out to Calgary and decide to buy vegetables from the farmers. So what made you do that? I mean, that's such an out of the box thinking. So can you just go into the details of, what made you do that? And how do you see that, it has impacted your community?
Okay. First and foremost, I really want to reach out to Mireille for being able to share that story with us, because it's something that is really deep in pain. But the most beautiful thing you've done for your daughter is to make sure her name is never forgotten, and to bless other lives with the tragedy that happened, unfortunately. And I'm so sorry for your loss. It's just such a deep story and very touching one. And thank you so much for doing this in our memory.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you're right, Mary, that it's not everyone that we all feel the price of produce, whether it's year round or especially now, right? We all feel the prices of food. Yeah. So it's not everyone that would see the need and will recognize that there's a need, an opportunity here. For me, I saw the need and I saw the opportunity, and I saw that there is a market for what I wanted to do. So that was why I was able to do it, because I was talking to some women and they expressed, I was new in Canada. I was just probably 5 months old in Canada at that point. But I saw all their concerns and everything they spoke to me about. So, okay, how can we meet this need? How can we be able to make this need, make it easy on their pockets. And that was what triggered me. And for me, in all my adult life, I've always been in business. I've always done something, create something, build something, bake something, you know, I've always or provide a service. So I've always been like that kind of person that will always see that kind of opportunity where nobody even pay attention to. So I just saw the need and I saw that I can meet the need. And that is why, and what can I do to make it in a different way, and in a way that would kind of I would have like a ready-made market for my services or my products. So that's why I started in form of pre-ordering. When people pre-ordered, we have people pre-ordered for months even before the produce were planted at that point. So
Wow.
that's an opportunity and that's a need for people to say, oh, I want 10 cases of tomatoes. That's even when right now we are in winter, going to spring. So no farmer in Canada will start digging ground right now. So until probably in May, so people would have ordered in January, February for produce that have not been planted yet. And we get them around end of July, August, September. That's when it gets to us and we distribute to the customers. So
Wow.
I saw that need at that point in time. And starting that way really helped us when we were starting the business newly, because we already have those relationships with those customers. So we already have those customer database with us that we can reach out and market to. And that word of mouth really helped us in terms of how our growth was quite rapid, because we've already put ourselves out there some like earlier before we open up a brick and mortar shop. So that's
So
just the
my
difference.
question is that there must be a good margin for people to buy so much ahead of time, you know, as compared to the local market. If, you know, people are ordering you way ahead of time. And so what is that margin that you have been able to sustain for so many years, you know, as compared to the superstore or the general produce places where you can go and get produce?
Yes, the thing is, for people to come to us, they know that they always get discounted produce from us.
Exactly.
And there are certain produce that you won't get at superstore,
Wow.
even H&W, you won't get it there. And the Africans eat mostly. There are spices, some peppers. So we carry them year round, stock them year round, and people can easily access it from us at a very reasonable price. So what we do is we try to make sure sometimes, even when we have certain, maybe kind of, we do a lot of what we call in the industry as grade 2 produce, where maybe the produce doesn't look as perfect as the one you pick and nibble at superstore, but maybe has some marks on it, but it's perfectly fine. We do it up to sometimes up to 80% off. Of what
Wow.
you go to regular store to buy. So for fresh produce,
You got one new buyer. I'm going to come to your store now.
So
this is
like
amazing.
prices of tomatoes will go up. So we'll always wait for when we can get good deals for our customers. Maybe there's a reject in superstore also to that importer or to that farmer, they bring it to us, we sell it cheaper, and the farmer is able to get their money back rather than throwing them out. So our job is to make sure no food goes to land waste. If we can sell them, we donate them. We don't waste.
That is awesome.
Food.
Yeah,
So
that is amazing. Wow, it's
yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much, Kemi, for that story. That was so amazing. I'm so floored by this. Do share your address with me. I'm going to visit your store for sure. Now I want to go back to Rehana and hear a little bit about her struggle as a businesswoman in Alberta, and what are the kind of things as a person of color that you faced that you think would have been easier for somebody else.
Thank you, Mary. It's so interesting before I answer listening to Mireille speak, because I remember a friend of mine, Angelina, share with me your story when it just happened, and praying for you with quite a few women, and even when I think about it, how connected we are as women of African heritage. You know, we don't know each other, but we know each other's stories, and we connected in prayer. So, you know, it's amazing what you've done for your daughter. As someone who's worked in mental health, I think that is an amazing way to turn your pain into joy for other people and to contribute to them. And an example of Ubuntu as Africans, that is so important to us, to be able to continue to see, you continue to see your daughter in other people as you share and give them. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for contributing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And listening to Kemi, I already have a business idea. I need to call Kemi as soon as we're done. So as a business owner, my business has been very different because it is international development. And for a while, until very recently, a lot of the business was done in Africa, outside Canada's borders. Fortunately, in the beginning, when I did start doing business, I did have quite a lot of support from the different agencies positioned by the government of Alberta. In the previous government, there was quite a big push to do international business for Alberta, and I was on the bandwagon with that as one of the few companies in the beginning. I will say, unfortunately, as time has passed, there are other women or other companies that did start at the same time as mine whose owners don't look like me and are Caucasian, and yet have gotten way ahead and had access to better programs or better financing than we have had, which, you know, when you look at it in hindsight, it's very sad. So these are the barriers, is that systemic racism is still very, very much alive. And even though these programs are there for all Canadians, not all Canadians have equal access. And so for me, that was what I faced. The other challenge I have as a woman is, and a woman of color, is that I'm second guessed when I say things. I might put something on the table, but if my team does not have representation from the other side, then my work is kind of looked at like it's not good enough. Mm-hmm. And so these are the things that I faced and have now needed to say, okay, can I find a white person to put on my board? Can I find this to do? And I've had to tell myself not to do that, because that is not what I stand for and what I believe. But you know, these are the challenges that I faced, unfortunately, in the city for Stimbok. With women talk. Sorry, I have someone in here. Just give me. I have a 2-year-old who also wants to be part of Zoom calls. For when African women talk, fortunately, I've come into this space now where we have conversations like we're having today. And I know Kemi and I were invited to a few throughout Black History Month. We've kind of been on different places, and I've seen her pop up where I've been. And fortunately, there's funding looming around somewhere for programs like we have. So there is a space now, and I would like to see how this space plays out. But at the end of the day, when I speak to a lot of business owners, a lot of women who are professionals. I keep hearing the same thing. Programs are out there, there's stuff happening, but I just don't know how to access it. I don't know where to go. I put this in, but I'm not hearing anything back. And so this is what I constantly hear on the table, and what I would like to see changing for women of color, Black women in the city.
So I just wanted to ask about, this is a very common problem with people of color. Doesn't matter whether it's employment or business, we all face these things, and we either find, a straight route, like just find a person who belongs to the mainstream community to go with us or do something, or we find a friend within the government or different programs. That's how we generally make ways through these difficult barriers that we face. But besides that, you had mentioned that you had started the program in Africa, but you brought it here to Edmonton. Am I right?
No. So Stimbok, we work in Africa. We are now doing some projects also in Edmonton. Here. Yes, we are doing that. But when African Women Talks is a different non-for-profit that we run focused on women.
Okay. So the program that you run here is different from what you're doing in Africa.
Yes. So what I'm doing here is working with women like Mireille and Kemi and other like-minded women who want to get to meet and network, because, as Kemi mentioned, many of us are new immigrants or have immigrated within a short span. Some of us don't have many years in Edmonton. So Edmonton's a new place, and getting to know and network and meet people, like it's through these events I've gotten to know I can now find cheap tomatoes for my food from Kemi, because a lot of my dishes have it. So now all the women I know will now get to know Kemi. So that is what When African Women Talks is about. It's like a triage place that you can come to. I'm very good at connecting and helping women meet one another. It's a God-given gift, as I call it. And I'm able to see opportunities beyond what other people see. And probably it's because of my background. My father is East Indian and was a busy businessman with multiple ideas. And I grew up around entrepreneurs and around business. That's what I knew about life. And I was the first of on my father's side to go to university, because they were all tradespeople and very busy entrepreneurs, very successful. But I was the first of his line to go to university, and so it's turning that knowledge into something here tangible that can help and empower other women around me, because a lot of women have great ideas, very smart, very intelligent women. People see Black women of color, and they just think we're daft, dull people. And for me, it's very, very important through When African Women Talks to present how amazing and dynamic we are. We're women who are educated with multiple side hustles that are doing really well. When you hear of the two ladies that I'm sitting on this panel with, how they've turned what they've experienced into something tangible that is impacting communities. So that is what When African Women Talks is about.
Thank you so much, Rehana, for that. It's quite interesting that you've started this African Women Talks here. I would love to hear some of that, or be part of that for your next event. Let me go back to Mireille to talk about how do you see the program that you started, which started from such a difficult place, touch the community, and what is the kind of impact that you envisage through the work you have done?
What I see in the future for this organization is already in the works, right? I said this year we are launching a community program, and we want to reach mostly the program will be called Technology and Musical Instrument for All. It will be, we want to reach people who are facing difficulties, parents who, especially new immigrants, new parents that are facing economical burden, hardship, and just to provide those technology tools or musical instruments so that they can start and ease the burden of, the financial burden that they're in. Hopefully the economy will get back to what we knew, but it hit us hard here in Fort McMurray to start with. But also, like I said, that we want to expand. So I've been talking with a few community members in Edmonton, and new immigrants are coming every day. And we know that when they come, all the beginnings are very hard for them. So they will do everything to provide for the children. But if they can't, then they have at least this solution, right? And so we are hoping to expand in the next years in Edmonton and Calgary. But also, we are branching out. Like I said, everything that we do is really to honor who Mbanga was, and she was an activist at her young age. For a child who was born here, she was always asking me, "Mom, talk to me about when you were in Africa. What were you doing? How was life there?" So, and very involved in what I established at my school. I've established a Black History Month celebration at my school for the past 7 years, and she was very instrumental in inviting her friends to join in to learn about, our heritage, to learn about our legends, the fashion show. She will be dancing. Like she even won the Black History Month contest when she was here. So very, very instrumental. So what we are doing in regards of that, the donation that we are doing is all about the Black history. It's all about racism. It's all about diversity and inclusion. So we are hoping to expand the project in educating about that, right? The student, the parent who don't, parents that are here and that have not had in the circle Black people who have prejudice, who are, very afraid to get to know us. So we just finished our Black History Month celebration the last week of February, and I had parents sending me emails asking permission for their children. I'm talking about white parents, their children to wear African clothing, to be part of the fashion show. So we want to do something in that regard and to keep educating. And also we are hoping to teach about.
We're reaching the last 10 minutes of our program. So I'll have to give an opportunity to our two other panelists to, share the impact of the work they've done. So I want to thank you, Mireille, for the amazing work you're doing. I know that, there is a lot of potential among African kids for art, which is not being tapped very well. So I'm really glad for this program that you put out where they can actually get access to musical instruments, which is amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for the work you're doing. Kemi, can you give a quick snapshot, because we have very little time left, about the impact that your business has on your community? And, I'm sure there's a lot of feedback that you're getting. So please just give us a quick snapshot about how you see the impact of the work you're doing.
Well, our impact is, it may not be huge, like in terms of when you're talking about all the big retail stuff, but what we've been able to do in the last 2.5 years, we've been able to train youth through our business. We've trained at least about 6 youths now from African Center, from currently I have 2 from Employability. Employability is a non-profit here in Edmonton that trains people with disabilities so that they can transition into workforce. So we've been able to partner with those non-profits to train. We've had youth, come through us. They train. They're supposed to be 12 weeks, and they stayed for a year or more. And some of them have gone up to the city to work with the city of Edmonton. Those are people that no, the regular employers will not take them because they have no work experience, because they have very limited use of language. So, or their accent is different, so they won't take them. So, but we take them, we help them, we equip them, we train them and let them go through us. We've also been able to hire brand new immigrants to Edmonton. They're just stepping into Edmonton. They don't have any past work experiences. We've been able to train. We currently have 2 students working with us. So we've done all that in terms of, how we've been able to, give back in terms of employment in Edmonton, from just us to, affecting our immediate community. Also, we just started recently a program where we'd bring people together and they're able to come to a dinner and donate for youth that are facing discrimination in the justice system. We know when you're a racialized youth, you'll be affected by any judgment or anything that happened. So we are doing that as well to give back. Also, on my own side, I've started program to kind of mentor and, help coach other. I've been doing that, but I've been doing it informally. Like, people call me for, I still have a lady talk to me 2 days ago at the Black Women in Actions, like, oh, you helped me to start my business. She had a table there, and if not because of you, I wouldn't even start, but you encouraged me that I can do it.
Kemi, there's a question coming up. Where is the location of your office? Can you please put it in your chat so that everybody can get it?
Okay, I'll put it in the chat box.
Thank you so much. You are amazing. Hats off to the work you do. Thank you so much.
Right, you're welcome. Thank you.
So let me go to Rehana. You're the last person I'm going to talk to about the impact that you've had with the work you do on different people in Africa and different people in Edmonton. Just speak quickly, a little bit briefly about that, because we have very little time left. We are about to close the show. So
no worries. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So the impact is when you give a woman money, when you give her a way to make money for herself and become independent, it impacts a whole village. It impacts a whole community. And I've seen this impact trickle down. And that's been in Africa. In Canada, the impact that we've had is we've been able to bring women together. We've been able to help them network and collaborate and create some amazing collaborations. I think a lot of women you've interviewed also here in Ladies Corner, she got to meet them through When African Women Talk. So we've been able to do that, just create some amazing collaborations. We also are working on Invest in African Women, which is a product that we will be putting out to help women just be able to access funding, help them learn to articulate and deliver what their business is about, and be able to deliver it to a standard here that people can understand and perceive, and also help them with their image and consultant work. So basically, your website, are you on podcasts? Where can people find you? How can people find you? What is your visibility like? What are your KPIs? What are your objectives? Just being able to help you articulate your business so that you can get access to the grants or the funding that you're looking for. So in a snapshot, that's our impact. It's quite dynamic. I wish I could put it as Kemi mentioned. So many people have stepped up to me and said, you've introduced me to this person. They're helping me do amazing work, and I've seen impact. Or people who previously just needed encouragement have been able to speak to me, or other people that I know, and have helped them really propel and create some dynamic work in the city.
Thanks so much to all three wonderful ladies who've done some amazing work in the community. And I look forward to meeting you personally at some event or program. This has been such a great, panel for International Women's Day. You all exemplify what women should be and what they should do for the communities they're in. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks to Ladies Corner for setting this up today. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Eh?